So we are going to be talking to you about cultivating a culture of excellence. I looked up the definition of cultivating, and this definition just fit completely perfect with what we have been through the past 10 years in our center. And that definition is to promote or improve the growth of something by labor and attention. We truly expect excellence from all of our people, from the front line all the way up to our director. We expect excellence from everybody. And that's excellence from the people who work the floor, our management staff, for excellence for each other, but not just for them, but also for our citizens. We expect, that type of service to our community, and anybody that we deal with on a daily basis.
So we're talking about organizational culture today, and it seems to be a buzzword in the business area nowadays, culture, but it's not a buzzword for us. It truly has made the difference in our center. It has turned us around from a toxic environment to a positive environment. The culture in your center is shaped by the shared attitudes, values, goals, and experiences in your center. And it's expressed through actions, processes, and behaviors. So think about if you've got a dispatcher who is whining every time an officer goes on a traffic stop. That's creating your culture. It's really easy just to pop up and say, hey, isn't that our job to do that? You don't have to, make it a big deal about correcting it, but correct it. That can change your culture. The shared events and actions define the community norms in a center, and they bond people together. And what it's doing is it's creating what's accepted behavior and what's not accepted behavior. So you have to be aware of that. You have to be careful with that, because simply allowing your people to gossip about one another and treat each other with disrespect is shaping your culture. You can't let people get away with it. You've got to step in there and do something. One thing about culture is you can't just impose it on an organization. I came to work here in 2007, and I was like, I'm gonna make this place an amazing place to work, because that was my goal. I just always wanted to, make a dispatch center where people wanted to work, because I remember what my life was like under the headset. And I learned pretty quickly, you can't just impose it. You can't wish it to be there. You have to actually make changes, and a culture can turn around. It can evolve as you develop new norms. Your people are going to develop new beliefs, new attitudes toward the center. As new processes are implemented and new people are hired or people go, it changes. It's constantly evolving, but it's your job to, continue making the positive changes that you want to see to keep your culture going.
So one of the things that we truly focus on in our center is building relationships with each other. So this quote is amazing. Needless to say, you can love people without leading them, but you cannot lead people without loving them. We focus on open, honest communication with each other, and also transparency. I can go to Shannon any time of day and just be like, look, I want to talk to you about something, whether it's personal, work-related, whatever, but just being truly open and honest with each other about anything, the way that we're feeling, because, she just made a comment that I didn't care for or whatever. Even though she's my director, I can go to her and talk to her about what she did, what she said, because it may not have, she may not have meant it to come off that way. Also being vulnerable with each other and being raw with each other, that is how you truly get to know someone's heart. And being real, no matter what position you're in, no matter if you're, a frontline employee or you're a director, like Shannon is extremely real with us in any situation. And that's what has brought us as a team, as a leadership team, so close together. Building relationships with people that you work closely with, knowing their heart really helps you to have those difficult conversations in the future if needed. And you really don't back away from having those difficult conversations, because you truly know this person. You know how to communicate with them because of, I know their communication style, and this is my communication style, and this is how I'm going to get across to this person. Just having a truly candid conversation with them. So we had a employee not long ago that was having a difficult time getting to work on time, and she was calling in sick a lot. So one of our shift supervisors had to pull her aside and talk to her about, the expectation that we had of her coming to work and being to work on time, and how, if you don't get to work on time, you're affecting other people that want to go home. And after that conversation with her, she basically gave him like a kudos, and it came to the leadership team. And she talked about how she really appreciated the fact that he was such a great leader and pulled her aside and told her that I know that you're having issues personally at home, whatever that are affecting you from getting to work on time, but this is the expectation, and truly that we value you and we want to know what we can do to help. How can we help you get to work on time? What can we do? That was just the words that she had put in that kudos was like, wow, like that's amazing. That's accountability, first of all.
Right.
And you don't get that from most people. It's a breath of fresh air to see that somebody is, being pulled aside and talked to about their actions and how they're affecting other people, and they're accountable for it.
Yeah. How often do you get praise from somebody that you just had a conversation with? Not very often, but that goes a long way to show that people appreciate that type of leadership. People appreciate you getting to know them, and getting to know them and knowing their heart really helps you to extend grace when a mistake is made, because you can be pretty sure that they didn't intend for what happened. We had an employee, actually, she was like probably one of the first people I've hired. So I've had a very long relationship with her, and she's been in various positions in our department. She self-demoted, and about a year after that, she was very negative about things in the center, and it went on for a while. And I finally discovered, hey, she's really, everything she's mad about has to do with me. I'm the center of it. And so we tried, we were trying let's do the chain of command thing. Have her shift supervisor talk to her. Okay, well, that didn't really work. Okay, have the managers talk to her. That didn't really work, because at the time, we were like, if the director goes and talks to her, then it's a big deal, and we don't want to make it a big deal. We want it to be, just, hey, two people talking. That didn't work. That didn't work at all. What it took was for me to sit down with her and talk with her. And, turns out, honestly, it was personal. She just thought that, after she self-demoted, that she got kind of pushed out and we didn't ask about things. And, I reminded her that, guess what? You told us not to ask you. But it made all the difference in the world. So, it ends with a hug, and she is just one of the most amazing employees today. She was one of the first people to volunteer to go to Uvalde to work in their dispatch center after their school shooting. And she's the first person, if anybody needs anything in their personal life here in our department, to rally people like, hey, you guys want donations to, for this, or, we need donations for flowers for this person. So yeah, she's engaged, and it's totally changed the relationship.
So here are some pictures that go along with building relationships in our center. That one to the left is one of the shifts working out after their shift was over. They worked out together. Top right is one of our holiday parties that we had. We invite our families, we play games, we exchange gifts. We all know each other's families. That's just amazing. Bottom right-hand corner, we have an employee that has MS, and for recognition of MS Day, her shift got together and was like, hey, let's all wear orange for Julie when she comes in. She'll be surprised. They brought her to tears. She just thought that was the most amazing thing, that they thought of her in that way. They cared about her. This is one of our shift supervisors, Brandon. It was his birthday, and his shift worked for weeks, cutting out. If you know Brandon, Brandon is all about Brandon. And his shift worked for weeks to cut out all of these Brandon faces, and they decorated the morning of his birthday before he came on duty. They decorated, and they hung his face all throughout the dispatch center, and they hung quotes that he says all the time, and also "It is your birthday" banner. But they look at the cupcakes on the right hand side. Those are Brandon cupcakes. They made a big Brandon fat head, like a pop-up, and everybody took pictures. Brandon always walks in with his sunglasses, and everybody took pictures with the Brandon poster, and everybody wore sunglasses. And that just shows you the impact that he makes on his shift and the entire center. It's probably the best birthday celebration we've ever had here.
Yeah, I think so. A few years back, we were struggling a little bit with our culture. We were getting there, but we were having some people that had to find their way out of our center. And so we had a mass exodus. Like 5 people left within, maybe 5 months or so. But the truth is, we were only sad to see one person go. And that person left just because she got a higher paying job. And, we work in government. We can't, match the private sector. So knowing that all these people had just left, and I had, newer folks in the center who didn't really know me, didn't know us, didn't know what we were trying to do, I was like, what must they be thinking? So we decided, we're going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. So we brought in each shift one at a time. We had 4 shifts. And so one at a time, and we just talked about, what had happened. And then we started asking them, what do you want this place to be? This is your place. I have very little influence on what life's going to be like for you out on the floor. I can write policies and I can say, be nice, but it's really, up to you. So each shift started telling us what kind of center, what they want for their center. And then each shift came up with a vision statement. One of them was helping others the way you want to be helped. And then the next one, to be the best family for your family. And then serve others as you would your own. And these guys are really long-winded. Creating a supportive family feel environment for citizens and employees with a high level of performance and provide a feeling of safety to the community. Well, that's a mouthful, and nobody's going to remember that. But the theme there is that every one of those teams was talking about family, was talking about excellent service, was talking about service to the community, and was talking about working together and being a team. So this is the vision statement we ended up with: working together as a team and a family, serving others as we would our own. And we wanted to make sure we didn't just come up with this and that was the end of it. So we put them on these challenge coins. And when we see somebody who displays some kind of action that is in line with the vision statement, they get a challenge coin. Any of our supervisory staff can go ahead and give those out. We also have it like up by our clock on the wall, our vision statement. We put it on our headset bags. We've got it, in signatures for our emails. The point is to over communicate it. When you've worked that hard to get something that everybody has bought into, just over communicate it.
Setting clear expectations is also extremely important whenever you want to cultivate a culture of excellence. You expect excellence from these people, so they need to know what you expect of them. So a few years ago, we had a shift supervisor that was basically playing her own game and not going along with what the expectations that we had of all the other shift supervisors. She would allow her people to take 1-hour breaks. They worked overnight. She allowed them to take 1-hour breaks, and that's against our policy. And when she was approached by Shannon, she lied about it. And so we did find out eventually. People actually started talking, and we found out that she was allowing people to do to go against policy by taking 1 hour breaks. And also there was stuff that would go on shift that she wouldn't address. People who were, being rude to callers or officers on the phone and or on the radio and just not addressing those things. I had to do a 90-day performance improvement plan for her, and I met with her once a week, and that did not help. So from that and all of that happened with her, we came up with these expectations for our personnel, even all the way up to Shannon. Like, these are the expectations that we have of her. She has expectations of us. We in turn have expectations for her also. I'm not going to read all of them, but you can read some of them. It's all about like being responsible and maintaining those relationships with your people and being accountable for yourself. And the last one, you'll see where it says be loyal to team one. Our leadership team is team one. That's what we call each other. It's pretty great. Emotional wisdom is the ability to accept people as they are, not as you would like them to be. The capacity to approach relationships and problems in terms of the present rather than the past. The ability to treat those who are close to you with the same courteous attention that you extend to strangers and casual acquaintances. The ability to trust others even if the risk seems great, and the ability to do without constant approval and recognition from others. That's emotional wisdom. We truly hold our staff accountable to these expectations that we have, because if you don't have expectations, everybody's just going to run wild.
On the expectations, so we've got them for our shift supervisors, we've got them for our trainers, we've got them for the managers and the director. And like she said, they're all very similar, because if I expect it of my folks, they should expect it from me. And something we have really preached is hold us accountable too. Nobody is exempt from this. If you're a supervisor, you're not exempt from this. And so what we would do at our leadership meetings is Amy and I'd have just a section like, okay, what do we do to make your life miserable for the past 30 days? And sometimes we would get nothing, because it's hard to, tell your boss, you screwed up. But sometimes, they would tell us what we did, and we take that to heart. And, we realize, okay, yeah, if we could do that different, it wouldn't negatively impact them. So it's important that you have that vulnerability with your staff, and you're able to talk honestly with one another.
And also talking about setting expectations, that's something that we do from day one. As soon as you walk in the door, we talk about expectations, and people, that's what our new people see out there is these expectations, people abiding by those. It's important for them to know.
One of the really key factors to improving your culture is to actively engage with your staff. They do stuff on their shifts, which I love, just like the Brandon thing. But there has to be times when everybody comes together, and I need to actively engage with my staff. If you're a manager, if you're a leader in any capacity, sitting behind a closed door is not the way to get a culture like this. One of the things that is like the most fun that everybody really likes is a scavenger hunt. These are pictures from a geography scavenger hunt we did. And we, of course, had them do silly things, but it was about going and meeting people from other departments. It was about seeing where other city buildings were, going to city parks. And so it's a lot of fun. It's great seeing the pictures, and I get to pay them for it because they learned something. These are pictures from just this year. We have different kinds of activities, like obviously we had a pumpkin decorating contest. We've done that for so many years, and the pumpkins that they come up with are absolutely incredible. And then the shifts also did a costume contest. And I don't think we even promoted this. I think they just decided, we started promoting the pumpkins years ago, but they were just like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to have a contest. We do things like, obviously we do dressing up during TCO week. We also have what we call a summer camp week. Our dispatchers, our dispatcher twos, who are our trainers, have organized that. And it's just something we do around August. Again, people love dressing up. So we have theme days, bringing in food. It hits that lull between TCO week and the holidays.
And the good thing about all of this stuff is that, like, we don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
We have a committee called the Crew, the committee responsible for events and wellness, the Crew. They do all of this. They have a president, they have a vice president, they have a treasurer, and they all keep track of all of this stuff on their own. I don't have to be on them about, hey, you guys said you were going to do this. You need to make sure you're following through. They do it all, and it's amazing.
One thing we do with the scavenger hunt too, and other pictures that we take at other events, is we have a TV screen up in our center, and we've got pictures rotating. So it's really impactful when somebody new comes in the door and they're seeing like the fun that we have, and it gets them excited about the culture we have, and they're seeing those pictures and they want to be involved in that too. We've also done programs like Secret Pals, just for no particular reason other than to be able to go shopping, because who doesn't love going shopping?
Getting gifts.
And getting gifts.
So empowering others, we truly like to empower others and support change and innovation in our center. Talking about innovation is something that's really huge with our entire city, really. But empowering others also builds leadership capacity. You would be surprised at the people who are just, your basic frontline employees that actually want to do more. But if you don't ask them, how do you know? Sometimes they're afraid to speak up because, hey, I've only been here for a month or two. Like, I'm not sure what I can or can't do here. But we have a employee who's newly out of the training program. She's maybe been out a year, and we allowed her to teach at one of our CPAAA classes and give a dispatch presentation. And she doesn't have a title here. She's not a trainer. She's not a supervisor. She's not a dispatcher too. We allowed her to do that, and she had so much fun with it. Also exploring an alternate schedule. So empowering others by just bringing you ideas of different things that we can do in our center, because you never know what kinds of ideas people have. We had someone come to us and ask, hey, if I find somebody on the opposite schedule of me that can agree to work on alternate schedule, would you guys allow that? Yeah, why not? And now over half of our staff, all but 6 people, are not working our regular schedule. They're working an alternate schedule because they have somebody on the other set that agrees to work that with them. We would have never made that change if somebody didn't speak up and say, hey, can we do this? If you don't let them do it, I mean, what can it hurt? Just try it.
Yeah. It just makes scheduling harder.
Yes, it does. But it's okay. I build templates for that.
Yeah.
We have a mandatory overtime calendar. At first, we just had a list, and it was people were on that list by seniority. And if somebody called out, we went to the top of the list. If you can do this, you're coming in. If you haven't worked back-to-back 16-hour shifts and it's an 8-hour turnaround, you're going to come to work this shift because we need mandatory overtime covered. But now we don't do that anymore because people were at the top of the list for 3 months and they never got called in. So therefore, you can't really plan anything if you're on the top of the mandate list for 3 weeks, 3 months, 4 months. You can't plan anything because you're always afraid of getting, that one day that you plan something, you're going to get called in. So now we have a mandatory overtime calendar. The calendar gets passed around, and they choose to be on call. Basically, we also got them on call pay. So they choose the days that they can be on call, and they know ahead of time. I chose these 2 days this month that I can be called in for overtime, so I know that I need to be available for that. Trainers, we allowed them to do, they implemented something called a 1-minute training, and that gets sent out once a week. And it's basically just short PowerPoints about stuff that we don't deal with very often, or maybe reminders of who's who around the police department or the city. That it gets sent out once a week, and everybody, you can save them and go back to them. If you come across something on shift and you're like, oh, I haven't dealt with a protective order in a really long time, let me go back to this training that was sent out by the trainers. Um, we let people participate in events like National Night Out and Open House, public safety open house. You don't have to be in a leadership position to do that either. You can be in the training program for 2 weeks and participate in something like that. We just let our people do stuff, and that makes it fun for them. We talked about the crew earlier. They coordinate events and they decorate. You will never walk into our center and it's not decorated for whatever reason.
Ours does not look like that high-tech cool center. Ours does not look like that at all.
Yes. We have a whiteboard by the front door where people put up quotes, and we don't monitor who does it or when it needs to be changed. It just gets changed. People will find a quote that they like and they just go erase what's on there and put up a new quote. Our communication style board, wish I had a picture of that, but we give our people a little test called the communication styles or something.
Yeah.
And she's a driver, I'm an amiable, but we can go up to this communication style board and just look at all of our people are up there with their picture and what communication style they are. If we need to have a difficult conversation with somebody or just any conversation, we can walk up to their picture and look at it and say, okay, they are an expressive. So I need to flex my amiable communication style to be able to talk to this expressive and make sure that the way I'm delivering my message, they can process it the way that they need to process it. It's been truly helpful and it's fun because there's also some things we don't know about you, like some fun stuff that we can learn about our people.
That the communication style made a huge difference for our leadership team. We had new people on our team, and so we were kind of struggling to get to know one another and just having some miscommunications. Well, so we sat in this room and we did this communication inventory and found out, yeah, I'm a driver, so I'm go, go, go. And there was a supervisor who, when I talked to her, she just didn't answer me. And I was like, what is this? I mean, are you shunning me? Are you just being insubordinate? Why won't you answer? Found out she's an analytical, and it totally changed our relationship because I was like, oh, I need to stop talking long enough to give her a chance to process what I'm saying so she can answer, because all I'm doing is just talking over her and getting frustrated because I'm not getting any feedback. We have the communication styles out there for everybody in the center. So, I mean, we definitely use it in the leadership, but anybody can use it.
This also goes along with empowering our people. They designed these shirts for our entire center. I sent out an email and was like, hey, you guys, it's time to buy new weekend shirts. Send me your ideas. I got ideas from several people, and I printed out their ideas and I let people vote on them. And the top two with the most votes, those are the shirts that I took to a company here in Sugar Land, and they designed these shirts for us. But this right here just shows you how close our people are with each other, and that's just warms my heart to see that.
Okay, so accountability, very important for your culture, because if you're not holding people accountable and other people are seeing that, they just calling BS. This has to be at all levels. You have to own your own stuff. I think our leadership team is really good about, if we make a mistake, we're going to admit it and we're going to apologize and we're going to move on. There have been several instances where I've had to do this. And it's not easy to do by any means. It is really hard to do. But if you don't do it, then you're doing a disservice to all the good employees in your center. You're just letting that one employee get away with what they want to get away with because you're not doing your job. We had a person who was in training as a shift supervisor, and she was doing fine. And in fact, she was probably 2 weeks from completing our training program. But she was consistently late. And she had kind of weird excuses sometimes when she called in. But the fact that she was being late and had been talked to many times about what our expectation is in our center, and actually had been told, listen, Shannon has let somebody go before for being late. Can't do that. You especially can't do it in a leadership role. And she had absolutely no respect from anybody that she was expected to lead when she got out of the training program. So after the managers trying to address the issue over and over again, we finally had to let her go. And the thing that was really weird about it was she was surprised. Like, there should have been no surprise. I mean, she was talked to about it quite a few times. And especially in your leadership, you have to take care of any issues you have in your leadership, because that will discredit your entire leadership team if you don't do it. You also have to be aware of any kind of subcultures going on in your center. She talked about the supervisor who, just flat out lied to me. That's a bad idea. Yeah, but but we gave her a good chance. It wasn't like an immediate dismissal. We did give her a chance. But yeah, subculture going on there. This person wanted to be liked so much. Like, she wanted to be the fun mom. And so she had her people do things that they knew were against policy, just so they'd like her. Well, and the truth is, like, let's get real. She gave them an hour shift or an hour break on night shift instead of a 45-minute break. Is that really a big deal? Probably not. But you have to think about the good of the center. You have to look at the big picture. The big picture is, why does that shift get to do it? Why is that supervisor letting it happen? But everybody else has to follow the rules. So got to make sure that you're taking care of that. One of the hardest things I think to do was I had to hold somebody accountable for their job who was very close to me. She was a manager and was very well liked and had been doing her job, but then just, things just started getting where they weren't getting done. And it was really ruining the leadership team. It was, the cohesiveness wasn't there anymore. So you have to take care of things no matter how high they are. And again, like we said before, hold us accountable. If we did something wrong, you need to tell us. And I have had supervisors do that, and that's fun.
It's because we have such a great relationship. Right. Being consistent across the board, especially with the leadership team, is extremely important. So being consistent in decision making and the priorities that we have. You can't have, like earlier talking about the supervisor who was letting people take 1 hour breaks. You have to be consistent across the board. You can't do one thing on one shift and then everybody else on the other shift is having to follow the policies and procedures like you're supposed to. But being consistent. Minimum staffing. So during COVID, we dropped our minimum staffing below what is in our policy because we were running, manpower just wasn't there and we needed that. So during like the hours of 6A to 10A, we dropped the minimum staffing from 5 to 4. And it was that way for probably 2 years. And then once, we started getting our staffing back up to a good level, we decided, okay, we're going to go back to what's in policy. We have to have 5 people between the hours of 6 and 10. There were some supervisors that were like, hey, is it okay if we work with 4 during this time? And, we're like, no, it has to be 5. We have to be consistent. We're following the policy. But just being consistent across the board, that way other people on shift aren't like, oh, well, they don't do it that way on this shift, or this supervisor does it this way. Each shift supervisor does not make up their own rules. Like, we have expectations and we have policies and procedures for a reason, and those need to be followed. We invite anyone that wants to be on the SOP review committee. So we have a review committee for SOPs, policies and procedures once a year, and anybody can join that. And that's basically where we go over all of our policies and procedures that we have, and we talk about any changes that need to be implemented. There's sometimes you'll just make a change on the fly and then we forget to change it in our policy. And at that moment is when we realize, oh, we need to change that. We need to update that. But We changed a policy recently, which was our dress code policy, and we went from wearing our black uniform shirts and black Dickies style pants or scrubs or the BDU, no, BDUs?
Yeah, you can wear those.
So it had to be black pants, black shoes, and your black shirt. But we just recently changed it to just wearing our polo uniform shirt with blue jeans. And you can wear whatever color shoes you want to. They can be pink, they can be lime, they can be whatever color you want
They
to
can
wear.
have Dalmatians
They
on
can
them.
have
like
Dalmatians
yesterday.
on them, yes. But it's all about really making your people comfortable. They're here for 12 hours a day, sometimes 16, sometimes 4 days straight with their 12s. And if they get mandated, it could be 5 12s. But you just want to make them comfortable and know that you value them and you value that they're going to be comfortable here, as comfortable as they can get whenever they're here working their shift.
That the dress code policy has been like the one policy that always has like, talk back and forth during the SOP review committee, which by the way, I'm not a part of. I just see what, the end product is and approve it. But with the dress, we don't greet the public. Yeah, I mean, I want us to look professional. I don't want people coming in, ratty old sweatpants. But as long as, you're comfortable and from the top up, you look professional, like we're both wearing jeans. You didn't know. Okay, very important to take care of your people. Which is sometimes hard to do because you have limited resources and you have limited ability to make changes in a government agency. One thing that I was able to do recently, what I'm really proud of, is to get raises for the dispatchers that weren't in the plan at all. What happened was a new emergency services district opened up not too terribly far from us. And we got wind of it when a neighboring agency called us and said, hey, we might need your help dispatching calls because we're losing a lot of people. They're all moving and going to this ESD. And so I found out that their starting pay was about $2 an hour more than our starting pay. I didn't want to lose my people to the ESD. So I, approached human resources, budget, whoever I had to tell them this is important. This is like kind of maybe could be a crisis we need to avert. And I was able to get about $2 raises for all of my folks. But we already had a culture in place, which was kind of protecting us from having people leave. But I just wanted to make sure. But one of the greatest things is I called, because I talked to each person individually about their raises and told them why and what we were doing. When I was talking to one individual, he'd only been here maybe a year and a half, not very long at all. But he said, oh yeah, that neighboring agency called me and they offered me a job, but I turned them down. Now, he turned down a job where he knew he was going to make probably $2 an hour more to stay with us. And he said that. He said, I love the culture here. I told him that. I don't want to leave. And that was before he even knew I was trying to get raises. So that just says a lot about our center. Along the lines of taking care of your people, schedule modifications. We have been really strict because we're in public safety and we can't make accommodations for people's schedules because if I make an accommodation for one person, I have to do it for everybody. And that's been my philosophy. And I'm sure it's a lot of people's philosophy, but the truth is we are hemorrhaging employees in dispatch. If you don't start making some kind of changes to help your people out, you will lose them because really, how attractive is this job working, shift work and nights and weekends, and you tell them they can't make this little teeny change in their schedule. So if you can do it, if you can accommodate it, try to accommodate it. And the truth is, when we did it, not everybody comes out of the woodwork saying, hey, I want this, I want this. They realize, hey, this person really needed to, leave an hour early, every other Monday for this thing they had to do. So, be human when you can. We also have this program, I'm sure a lot of you may have it, Guardian Tracking, but we have found that we use it mostly, I mean, like probably 98% for kudos. Like, it's not really about tracking things that go wrong. It's about talking about how great each other are. And we've opened that up to everybody. Like, it doesn't have to come from a manager, a supervisor. It can come from anybody. And it's really great when you've got somebody who's really new in the organization and you see them, complimenting somebody else. It just speaks volumes for our center. Finally, celebrate your employees. Like, make a big deal about stuff. You can see Amy and Julie recently celebrated their 10-year anniversary. The middle picture is Employee of the Year award that we do. And I only let our staff vote. I'm not going to let field responders vote because they may think somebody is like just an A+ dispatcher, but they don't know the whole story. And really, the Employee of the Year award isn't about really your abilities on the radio. It's what you do inside here to make this place a family. The picture on the right is somebody completing our training program. We always acknowledge them with a certificate and a balloon and try to get them something that they like. On the bottom left is a Texas MENA Trainer of the Year award. So a few years back, we started nominating people for our Texas Public Safety Conference, and I'm pretty proud. We've had like 3 different people get Trainer of the Year. We've had a Supervisor of the Year, and it means a lot. And when we have somebody winning one of these awards, we'll have like a table of 10 of us that go just for the award luncheon. We're able to do that because it's not too terribly far away from us.
We had an employee actually win both Texas NENA and APCO Trainer of the Year awards.
Yeah, in the same year.
The same year.
Yeah. And then in the bottom right is our city champion employee award. So we always nominate our folks, and we have a pretty good representation for the city. There's we have maybe 850 people in the city. And we always have somebody up there as a champion employee. And it's great also just because we're in this little silo, we're in our little mushroom and people don't really know what we do. But when you actually tell people what you do, they're like, oh my gosh, they want to know. They really can't believe the stuff you deal with. And I think the most important thing that I've done lately for taking care of your people is establishing a mental health counselor program specifically for our center, because EAP it's hard to find a counselor who knows our stuff. And I think that people just they shy away from calling EAP, even though it is anonymous. And I realize, after many, many years in this industry, that we don't deal with our stuff. We stuff our stuff. And I wanted to make it different in our center. We've got people who are on our critical incident stress management team. So we started that way. We started with, hey, you're on the team. Would you check on this person? They took a call that, may have been a bad call. So we're doing that for each other. But then I took it a step further when I found out there were 2 mental health professionals on the CISM team. I got with my HR department and I said, listen, I want to see if we can contract with them. I want them to be our people. And they went for it. If you don't ask, you'll never know. But what we did is we started bringing them into our training programs, and we kind of just talked about what they were there for. And it's really about trying to destigmatize that you need to take care of your mental health. So they started coming in and doing sit-ins and dispatch. They'd go out on the floor, they'd talk to them. And then it's been kind of evolving as we go along because, I'll talk to the counselors. I'm like, well, how did that work? Well, what do you think? Let's try this. So what we're doing now is we're having about every quarter we're having them come in and do like a kind of a training session with each shift, and that's been working out really well. I have one employee, and I was just talking about this yesterday, talking about this program, and she asked me, well, has anyone come to tell you that, that they've talked to the counselors one-on-one? Oh, I forgot to mention that. They can go to these sessions, and it's just like EAP, the city pays for it. Like if they want to make an appointment with a counselor, it's free. But she was asking me, has anyone done that? And I said, well, I mean, no, people have like said, thanks for bringing them in. I really like them, but they haven't done that. And then she says, yeah, well, they really helped me, but it wasn't really work related. It was personal. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. If you've got personal problems, you're going to bring them to work. Like the problem she was thinking about was, something from childhood that kind of she was triggered when she had certain types of calls. Well, yeah, it kind of is work related. Like your whole health is work related. So, and yeah, she said they really helped me. They did that cool EMDR voodoo thing, and it made a huge difference. So it's been a real success. And like, I'd encourage any of you that, need more help to try it.
So lastly, meet your people's basic human needs. The need to feel safe, the need to belong, and the need to matter. That is so extremely important, that your people know that you value them and that you are there for them no matter what, whatever they need. If you can help, hey, let's help them. We also have to make sure that we're aware of the fact that our people are doing this for each other, that they're helping and allowing each other to feel safe when they're out there on the floor, and to make sure that we're including everybody. When we talk about, hey, we're going to get lunch for the day, don't leave anybody out. Make sure you're asking everyone. If you're asking 3 or 4 people in the room, ask all 6. And also just that they matter. They matter to us. They matter to our center. They matter to the city, because the job that they do is so extremely important and so stressful, and it takes a toll, both mentally, emotionally, physically. It takes a toll on your body to do this job. And we just want our people to know that we do appreciate you, and we're here to help in any way that we can. People struggle. We all know people struggle outside of work, and this job is stressful enough as it is to have those personal issues on top of, dealing with someone else's trauma every single day. Got anything else?
I don't, but I did see, I was trying to read in the chat, but unfortunately I couldn't read it all, but I did see somebody ask about what's our on-call pay. It's not much. It's cents. It's like, what, 50 something cents. It amounts to like maybe $10. So it's not a lot, but it's the point. And they knew it wasn't going to be a lot when I got it for them, but it's just that recognition that, yeah, you are on call. All right. Any other questions?
There's actually a question in here that says, let me click on this, start answering here. So it says, do you find you have more of a certain type of communication style in the center, or the lack of a certain one?
I would say, I think we have more amiables than anything. Yeah, I do think so. And I think this job draws an amiable person, right? Because an amiable is concerned about other people and wants to make everything, right, and take care of people. So I think we do have a lot of amiables here. I think maybe, I was going to say we didn't have many expressives, but our new hires, we've got some expressives.
Yes, we do.
But yeah, and at the leadership level, I'm trying to think of what everybody is. I'm a driver, so I'm go, go, go. And then both of the managers are amiables.
So we keep her in line.
That's right. Be nice. And I have to make sure when I'm talking to them that I'm being really nice. Can you do this, please?
Awesome. All right, let me dip back here into the chat. All right, so we got everybody saying thank you. And let's see, Valerie in here. Oh, this is in reference, I think, the on-call maybe, but it says NRV 911 pays 1 hour for on-call. Of course, if you get called in, it's not 1 hour plus hours worked. It's just
Right.
hours worked.
Right.
Then let's see, Phyllis, who was the one who asked that question, she says, that is interesting. Thanks for the answer. I really think we should test for personality. All right. And yeah, everyone's great information. Thank you for the session. Awesome.
Did anyone answer the poll, Ricardo?
Let me see here. Yes. So, do you feel like the culture in your center is positive? So there were, for yes, it's 38.46%. That's 5 votes, and then no. Well, it's changing now. So now the no is 10. Now it's
All right.
going to 11. So let's just say no.
Say no. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
the
what
majority, or half, actually half
okay.
here.
Well, we're hiring, so
Yeah, we're hiring. But no, that's really what we thought. And I think just a lot of people just really don't know how to go about changing their culture.
Mhm.
And the thing you got to understand is it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it's years. Like, so don't beat yourself up if it's not changing really quickly. What I had to do for myself was I'd actually write down my small wins just to, keep motivating myself that, yeah, changes are coming. And now, I mean, it's amazing. Like, I put in all that work and now I'm just kind of coasting, because everybody else is like, they want to do the work,
Right.
I shouldn't have said that, right? It's a roller coaster. I'm
It
not
is a
really
roller
coasting. I'm not really coasting.
you're coasting on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
You will always have issues regardless of how great your culture is because we're human. And the point is just to address those issues head on and with empathy and respect, but take care of your business. That's what I'm getting paid to do. It's not always the fun part of the job.
Yeah, we've got a couple comments here. One says takes time. Another one says a leader can dump a culture in a matter of days, and it does take years to build it back up.
That is
Absolutely.
true.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Excellent. Well, thank you both very, very much for this awesome presentation. And how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, hold on. I got another slide. Where is it?
You don't have another slide.
I do. I promise. I added it.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Awesome. So everyone, take down this information. And if you've got any questions or anything like that, please make sure to reach out to the both of them. I have heard nothing but good things coming from your center, and I've been to a couple of the ranch retreats that the 360-degree dispatcher Joe Serio does out there, and there have been representatives out there and people. We've gone to them when talking about basically what your title is, cultivating a culture of excellence. So
Yeah.
it has been excellent. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
So everyone who is here, I'm going to be bringing you to the next session. The next speaker that we have coming up is Kelly Chess. She's out of Jefferson County 911 out of Kansas, and she's going to be doing a session called First Party Suicidal Callers. Let's talk about it. So I will bring you over there. Again, ladies, thank you very, very much, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you.